Democratic frontrunner Joe Biden has vowed to pick a female running mate, but last night he stopped short of saying whether it would be a woman of color. Listen to this.
I am not committed to naming any but the people I've named, and among them there are 4 black women. So that decision is underway right now.
Joining us to discuss, Lori Watkins, a former Obama advisor and Democratic strategist, as well as Bobby Eberle. He's a Republican strategist and host of 13-Minute News Hour. Lori, we'll start with you as a Democratic strategist here. What's the strategy behind Biden not fully committing to picking a running mate who's a woman of color?
Vice President Biden is leaving the data and analysis through the vetting process to run its course. He's going to be presented with the information and facts on each of these women, and he'll make his decision. But my sources tell me that he will pick one of these 4 women that you all have mentioned earlier.
Did the source give a specific name? You can share with us here.
No, but it's going to be one of those 4 women.
Okay. All right. You've got to wonder potentially, if this could be offending someone, why he wouldn't say it specifically, again, committing to that. Bobby, we'll bring you in here. We've got to realize that Joe Biden is making this appeal to his base, as well as those independent voters. Who might be the best candidate to win over those voters?
Well, the one thing I do agree with your guest in that it's probably going to come from these 4, but he's already backtracking. If you recall, just a month ago, he was basically implying, remember when Stacey Abrams was all but auditioning, saying, I want a Biden-Abrams ticket, almost implying that it's going to be a black woman. That's what he was saying. Now he's backtracking because he knows that he has this whole field of interest groups that he has to appeal to, and he doesn't want to get backed into a corner. So yes, he's got these candidates. Even in the interview yesterday, it was hilarious to watch him stumble when he talked about the vetting process. We've got some black people that are looking at this, and then some white people too. It's just, he's a mess, and he's being pulled in all sorts of different directions. I don't know who he's going to pick, but I do think it's going to come from one of those 4.
Lori, respond to those comments for me.
Any one of those 4 women are incredibly knowledgeable, incredibly experienced, and they all bring something different to the table. If you look at Congresswoman Val Demmings, for example, from my home state here in Florida, she would bring a battleground state along with her extensive law enforcement background. You look at Kamala Harris, whether she would be the pick or she would be a cabinet appointed official, she brings a lot to the table. Susan Rice, she served in the Obama administration. She has an impeccable record. And then you look at Keisha Lance Bottoms, who's run a very large city, albeit right now she's having some issues with the governor of her home state, but all of these 4 women are incredibly qualified to serve as Vice President of the United States. Gosh.
Yeah. Bobby, you're shaking your head?
Yeah, I mean, these people, they've got impeccable reputations for corruption and not being able to govern. I mean, what's going on in Atlanta? And then you have Susan Rice with Benghazi and corruption after corruption after corruption. Kamala Harris has her own baggage. And it's just amazing that this is the lineup when you see, especially with COVID and especially with the riots, that Democrats can't govern. They refuse to govern. They let lawlessness run amok. And now we're choosing from these candidates that have histories of corruption and not being able to govern the little area that they're responsible for. And now they're supposed to be vice president. It's just, this is Joe Biden's lineup, and whatever ticket, we're going to beat them in November.
Okay. All right. We're going to switch gears, move on to another topic. In a virtual town hall, Joe Biden said that there should be more religion taught in schools. Listen to this.
One of the things I think is important, I wish we taught more in our schools about the Islamic faith.
Okay, so this is just a snippet of that interview yesterday, the virtual town hall. Lori, weigh in on this. If he's referring to public schools specifically, would teaching about Christianity and Judaism also be part of the curriculum, as he's suggesting Islam should be?
Yes, and that was part of the full entire interview, but you only, interestingly enough, ended it right after he said about Islam, about Muslims. The Muslim population in the United States, the voting bloc, is over 1 million people. So I think any candidate would be a fool to leave that voting bloc on the table and not speak to them. But the contrast is between Vice President Biden and President Trump is few and far between. It could not be a more direct contrast to what this president has said as far as repeating xenophobia, inciting violence,
I just want to go back to what you were
and also referring to them as shithole countries.
Okay.
If I was a Muslim American in this country, I would not vote for President Trump.
Okay, so what you were saying, though, you were saying that he was just saying that statement to appeal to the Muslim voter here.
That's
just
who
to
he was
appease
speaking
to them?
was a Muslim American group of people. That's exactly who he was speaking to. And he did not
to win their
take
vote.
off the table Christianity or Judaism or any of the other religions.
Bobby?
Well, the one thing is, if there is any religion nowadays being taught in school, it's Islam. You see examples over and over again. Kids bring in their reports. Let's translate this passage. And in the meantime, Christianity is being pushed to the side. You're a Christian baker, you're forced to bake a cake, but you go to Dearborn, Michigan and ask a Muslim baker to bake the same cake for a LGBTQ couple, they'll say no. No one says anything about it. So Biden is pandering, there's no doubt about it, but this whole idea, I wish he was around when he probably was around when they were getting prayer out of school. Bring that back in general, but this whole idea of teaching more about Islam in public schools is just pure pandering, but that's all the Democrats have, are little interest groups that they have to somehow bring together, and that's why it always fails in the end.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Good discussion. Bobby Eberle, Lori Watkins, thanks for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Emma.
You got it.
Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.